I am Joe Craig, host of Reeling and Telling the Truth. Once again, if you've watched a lot of my videos, this is a subject I really know about because I was one of those teachers 2019. I didn't quit because of the good kids. I quit because administration kept changing how we did business. The art of being a teacher who could teach their own way but get results, they took that out the window. But more importantly, today's topic is why teachers are leaving due to health reasons and discipline. So I got three teachers who want to tell you about why they quit. And I'm going to interject as we go. Let's get started.
Teachers nationwide are quitting their jobs at an alarming rate. Florida's Lee County School District is dealing with a major shortage, with several teachers quitting after feeling undervalued and facing a lack of discipline among students. One former educator of 30 years left teaching to open her own business. Joining us now is former Lee County Public School teacher Stacy Sawyer. Stacy, congratulations on your new business. Thank you for being with us. But I got to ask you about the profession you left. We're reporting on education all the time on this show. We see grades disappearing, students not being required to attend classes. We see parents losing trust in schools because they're left in the dark. It seems to me it would be very hard to want to be a teacher in an environment that's built like that, Stacy.
Yes, especially since the pandemic, behavior issues have gotten out of control. This causes there's no subs for teachers, so they're having to work during their planning and take over other classes. Those classes are getting inundated with more and more students. The district just puts more work onto the teachers, and there is no extra pay. I think that teachers are tired. Teacher tired is a whole different ballgame, and they've had enough.
Stacy, how do you think that situation changes? Obviously, it's really important to have great teachers in this country to bring great students through the whole system. You've got the teachers' unions on one hand. Do you think that they're representing the teachers' interests properly and not putting the teachers ahead of the kids' interests? There's a lot going on right now in education that feels upside down. It doesn't feel like this situation's getting better.
Teachers need extra pay because otherwise it just seems like they're doing it all for nothing. They keep getting extra put on top of them. Do this, work an extra hour after school, work during your weekends, and add more to it. The pay is not worth it anymore to some of these teachers. They feel like they're being taken advantage of, and they are. If you want to keep your teachers, especially your veteran teachers are going to be the ones that help you and that help the younger teachers, and they need to be paid. And those younger teachers need to see that, hey, as the longer that I stay in the profession, I'm going to get paid more.
She brought up a lot of great points. Like, we went to college to get our master's degrees just like any other profession. And I don't know any other profession that once you obtain that degree, your opinion doesn't matter. They bring in a young administrator who's probably a third of your age, but just because they went to principal school, they get to tell you what to do. And then every 2 or 3 years, a new principal come in. So here's the other big issue. I remember when I was teaching, you work 8 hours a day, and then you'd have to go home, prepare for lessons, and grade papers. My business friends who had their own businesses and people who worked in the private industry, they would tell me, man, you an idiot because you working for free. You might be making $45,000, $50,000, but when you go home at 4 o'clock, you still got to prepare. I remember every weekend, I love football. So I would be on the computer stressed out trying to get lessons, and they watching the game, barbecuing, doing what they do. And that's crazy. So let's jump back into it. And then I started getting health issues, stress, regardless of what's going on in your personal life. You got to get up in front of 30 kids and hold it all in. And that causes stress. That causes medical issues.
I'm a teacher. He goes, yes, you are.
These are the stories of 6 North Texas teachers.
We represent different grade levels. We represent different ISDs.
They do have one thing in common. They all recently quit.
It takes a toll. I could not do it anymore.
The job can feel like a calling.
Growing up, my mom was a teacher, and in fact, she was my teacher in 1st and 4th grade.
Amy Rodenroth followed her mother's footsteps. Derek Spencer saw the chance to make a difference.
There wasn't many African-American males in elementary.
Myri Ann Gable was inspired.
Of my high school math teacher. She looked like me, she had poise, she just gave me a chance.
Together, they have a combined 140 years of experience.
Raise your hand if you feel like you made a difference in kids' lives.
Stepping away wasn't exactly easy.
I can't do that anymore, but that's where my heart is.
And I just cried because I thought, that's my last group of kids.
The Texas Education Agency reports more than 13% of the state's teachers, nearly 50,000 of them, left the profession last year, the highest number on record. There's more than just one reason, this group told us, for the exodus. But a good starting point is the money, or better said, the lack of it.
I know I didn't get into education for the money. I sure thought it would be a lot easier than having to hold down a couple of jobs to maintain.
The average starting salary for a teacher in Texas is just over $45,000. As they gain experience, salaries increase, but not by much. Veteran Texas teachers make on average just $20,000 more than novices.
I've talked to my ex-students who are graduating and going into college, and they're like, I go, so what are you going to do? Well, I would be a teacher, but the main things that are the drawbacks, money, they can't survive. They can't survive on what they're getting paid.
Not to interrupt, but just like I said before, even if you're making $55,000 a year, that's really not good money unless you're working 8 hours a day. But as I said, you got to prepare the curriculum. You got to grade the papers. You got to do all that on your off time. So no, it's not. The main problem is the discipline in the classroom. And I used to think this, those administrators used to be teachers, and some of them forgot what it was like to be in the classroom. So a lot of them, in my opinion, took the kids' side, talked to the kids, sent them back to class. The kids laughed it off and kept back doing the same thing. But let's listen to the last part, and it relates to discipline.
Thank you for joining us today. I am passionate about this topic. Education is the future of America. It is disappointing the number of teachers that are leaving the job. Why did you quit?
For me, it was truly due to my overall traumatic experience within the school and the lack of growth or change to truly make it safer, make it better, make it just a better experience for everyone. I would say pre-pandemic, everything was pretty smooth, and something broke during COVID, at least specifically in the school that I was in. It truly showed the trauma some students were experiencing at home. It led to a lot of fighting. It led to a lot of verbal abuse. It led to a lot of teachers being disrespected. Specifically, I can say me being disrespected and not being treated like a person. It was more as if I was treated like a disposable object instead of someone that cared and wanted to see the students grow and be the best them that they can be. It was an interesting turn of events, to say the least.
What I hear you saying is that kids have changed since the pandemic. Can you break that down a little more?
I believe since the pandemic, kids are more aware of the pain or trauma that they have experienced at home or maybe even at schools. And it was thrown at us as teachers. Prime example, I was an art teacher for 5th through 8th grade students. I loved it. When we came back from COVID and we were virtual, it was fine. But once we were in person, a lot of kids had anger issues. A lot of kids were physically abusive to their peers, to the teachers. A lot of students just didn't know how to channel their anger and frustration. So it took time for them to find peace. When we would come to art class, that was the time that I tried to get the students to truly find peace within whatever frustrations they had. It wasn't enough.
You're right, it wasn't enough. I saw it. I still see it. It starts at home. And we can make excuses from my point of view, what's going on with that child and why they can't do it. It still goes back to that environment. Dave, we talked about why teachers are leaving. A lot of it has to do with stress, medical issues, lack of pay, and the amount of time we have to put into it. And we still, in many cases, don't get respected. My name is Joe Craig, host of Reeling and Telling the Truth, where I give my point of view. Hit us up on YouTube at Reeling and Telling Our Truth, on Facebook at Reeling and Telling Our Truth. Please subscribe. Be blessed.